It's Friday, January 4, and time for your Barbados Today morning news update. Thanks for joining us. I'm Fernella Wedderburn. We begin with news that some domestic holders of government securities will have to wait a while longer before receiving payments that were due on December 31st last year. In a statement issued yesterday, the Central Bank of Barbados apologized for the delay, saying it was due to changes that had to be implemented to the computerized system as a result of the new structure of government securities. Officials at the financial institution now anticipate that all payments will be received by Friday, January 11. Stop the propaganda. That's the plea of Environment and National Beautification Minister Trevor Prescott to some residents who he believes are deliberately exaggerating the country's garbage collection woes. Prescott made the comments in response to mounting criticism that the island's garbage collection and disposal problems were becoming too much for government to handle with limited resources. Speaking to the media yesterday morning following the arrival of 2 new refuse compactor vehicles at the Bridgetown port, the minister was adamant that Barbados was the cleanest country in the region despite challenges experienced over the holiday season.
And people seem to forget that the government was only here 7 months ago, and we inherited all that we are now facing. And we inherited and could not address or redress it because we had limited finance. I want to thank the journalists for coming out today, the photographers, all the commentators, in all the media houses, because a lot of the people who are critical are the people who are sleeping in their beds comfortable. They're not talking about garbage though. When they wake up early in the morning to see these trucks, they would then now have to reconstruct the lie in such a way, at least to convince the Barbadian public this is a continuum of what they consider to be their personal truth, their own morality, not ours.
Spikestown must not be a location for investments in the form of towering buildings that could alter its unique character. That's the view of business owners in the north of the island, who however agreed that changes are necessary for the historic city to fully realize its potential. The town is slowly regaining prominence as a destination for visitors and the locals, with recent investments and promises of more on the horizon. However, while long-time business owners are excited about the future, they are adamant that sweeping improvements were needed more on certain infrastructure and amenities, including the road system, jetty, and the general upkeep of the town.
We would love to think that we had some say or some suggestions to offer, so there's not too much diversification, but just more of an upgrade as to the existing, and taking 50, 60 years ago of heritage and just polishing it up and making it look like it was 60 years brand new ago, if that makes any sense.
Yes, it does.
Right? And that way we can maintain it.
Our biggest problem is Spikestown. We need to get the parking and get Spikestown one way. With this kind of traffic, you can't be just bringing people and getting report all the time on the street. We need Spikestown one way. It don't got to come from me. I was talking about water taxis. I know you're talking about water taxis. Over 30 years I was talking about water taxi. How come you can't transport this beautiful West Coast we have? How come you can't transport people from Bridgetown to Spikestown?
Farmers are being urged to actively harvest rainwater. It's coming from Chief Executive Officer of the Barbados Agricultural Society, James Paul, on the heels of reports of the possibility of below normal rainfall this year. Paul tells Barbados Today such a move will not only prepare farmers for a possible drought situation, but lower their water bills as well.
In view of the fact that this year, 2019, the rainfall will be below normal, we want to at least encourage farmers to, even if you manage to get unusual rainfall, to be able to harvest that rainfall. And we sometimes don't even appreciate that, you know, a lot of the roofs that we have in Barbados, a lot of rain comes off those roofs. And sometimes those at least, sometimes you can get enough water to supply you for 3 months, 4 months, and that makes a big difference in terms of your water bill. But it also eases the strain on the Barbados Water Authority to have to supply those farming operations with water at the same time. So one of the things that we still want to continue to push is the whole area of water harvesting, and that, for instance, even in terms of greenhouse construction, one of the things that we will want to encourage farmers to do in constructing greenhouses, pay attention to the whole area of water collection, because if they can collect their own water, again, it will solve the problem of actually having to rely on Barbados Water Authority water.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
Barbados Today, news you can trust.
To regional happenings now, the controversy over the validity of the recently passed no-confidence motion in Guyana will be settled in court. That was the ruling of the Speaker of the National Assembly, Dr. Barton Scotland, during a sitting on Thursday, which was boycotted by members of the main opposition People's Progressive Party. The government's position is that the motion was not properly passed since 34 seats were needed for a majority passage. However, the opposition contends that 33 votes represented the majority. Dr. Scotland said while he has the power to reverse the no-confidence resolution, he believes that the issues related to its passage may better be addressed outside the Assembly.
Where, as in these instances before us, there are different, even competing views of certain provisions of the Constitution, as well as certain interrelated provisions of the Constitution, all of which fall to be examined, the Speaker on this occasion, and without more, declines the invitation to act in reversal. Full, final and complete settlement of these issues by a court of competent jurisdiction will place beyond doubt any question which may exist and serve to give guidance to the Speaker and to the National Assembly for the future.
And finally, on the international scene, a North Korean diplomat who was recently acting ambassador to Italy has reportedly gone missing. We get the details of this story from Reuters television.
A North Korean diplomat who was until recently acting ambassador to Italy has gone missing. That coming from a South Korean member of parliament on Thursday. The revelation follows a South Korean newspaper report that the diplomat was seeking asylum in the West. The paper said Jo Song-gil had applied for asylum to an unspecified Western country and was now in a safe place, and that his family is now under the protection of the Italian government. Jo vanished with his wife after leaving the embassy unexpectedly in early November, according to a South Korean lawmaker briefed by the National Intelligence Service. But senior diplomatic sources in Rome said Italy's foreign ministry knew nothing about the reports, and that at the end of last year, North Korea said it would send a new envoy to Rome, a, quote, perfectly normal procedure. If Jo's disappearance is confirmed, his name would join a slowly growing list of senior diplomats who have sought to flee the impoverished, oppressive country under the rule of Kim Jong-un.
And that's news, but for the very latest, visit our website at www.barbadostoday.bb. You can also subscribe to our e-paper, email updates, and like us on Facebook, and sign up for our breaking news alerts via WhatsApp. We're also on Izumi Media and bus terminals, as well as screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you. And you can also hear us on Mix 96.9 FM and Capital Media HD 99.3 FM. I'm Fernella Wedderburn. Good morning.